Fewer than 50 of the prisoners were spared, those of the highest rank, whose families could afford to pay most for their safe return. Cemeteries all around this area were filled with French casualties. Some of them were buried here, where a briar hedge had to be planted to stop wolves digging up the bodies. In one day of fighting, something like 8,000 French were killed, and an entire generation of the French aristocracy was virtually wiped out. Henry returned to England for the triumph of an all-conquering hero. He rode in state from Blackheath to the city. Along his route, there were floats displaying tableaus of the warrior St. George and the coats of the King's arms. And he was greeted by choruses of young maidens singing a hymn of congratulation that ended with the words, "Welcome, Henry V, King of England and King of France."
But Henry was not yet King of France, and he knew it. His obsession to control France now became all-consuming. His tactics and personality grew darker. The killing spree continued.
In 1417, 2 years after the Battle of Agincourt, Henry returned to France, where his first target for siege was the fortified town of Caen. After 3 weeks, the city surrendered. English troops entered and began to rape and murder its defenseless inhabitants. The carnage only ceased when Henry himself saw in the marketplace a woman who'd been decapitated, but with her baby still suckling at her breast. It's said then that he ordered priests, women and children to be spared. For Henry, that was a rare act of mercy.
Town after town submitted. At Falaise in Normandy, Henry's men dug out the foundations of the castle. Its citizens surrendered, terrified it would crash to the ground. The cruelest siege was Rouen. After 6 months, the English soldiers took pity on the starving women and children and gave them bread. But Henry ordered there be no charity in his army. The destitute people were left to starve. It was not just butchery that was bringing Henry victory. It was politics, too.
Henry's triumphal progress was helped by French infighting. Here, south of the Loire, one royalist faction, the Dauphinists, refused to negotiate with England. But to the north, there was Philip, the Duke of Burgundy. Philip's father had been killed by his fellow countrymen. Philip was prepared to do a deal.
This alliance with Philip took Henry one step closer to gaining the French crown. 100 miles east of Paris, on May the 21st, 1420, a quiet ceremony took place. The royal French bride, sought out by Henry 5 years earlier, was now finally his.
In this church, in the small town of Troyes, Henry sealed the pact. He married Catherine, daughter of the French king, Charles VI. And at 18, Catherine was quite a catch. She was poised and elegant and beautiful, and it's said that Henry showed true affection to her. Still, the hardened warrior cut short the wedding celebrations in order to pursue another siege. And the political motive for this alliance can never have been far away from his mind. He signed a treaty shortly before the wedding took place, the Treaty of Troyes. And the prime condition of this treaty was that when Catherine's father died, the next person to be crowned the King of France should be Henry himself.
From Troyes, Henry pressed on to Paris. On December the 1st, 1420, he entered the city in triumph, the only king of England to claim the capital as conqueror. But a French writer noted the political intrigue that had helped Henry. He entered Paris through a hole in the Duke of Burgundy's skull. But even to conquer Paris was not enough. Henry couldn't stop. He wouldn't just wait for Charles VI to die. Many parts of France were still not under his rule. And then, on his way to a battle in the Loire Valley in the summer of 1422, Henry was suddenly taken ill.
2 weeks later, at the age of 35, Henry was dead. It's thought that he contracted dysentery while he was here at the Château de Vincennes on the outskirts of Paris, taking a rare break from his tireless campaigns to put France under military domination. And he would never know just how close he came to realizing his lifetime's ambition. Not long after his death, the end was announced of his father-in-law, Charles VI. So it was that Henry missed being crowned King of France by just 7 weeks.
Henry's victories in France were astounding, but they were transient. Within 30 years of his death, all English possessions gained by him were lost. Only Calais would remain. No monarch after Henry V would come so close to uniting the great kingdoms of England and France under one crown. But Shakespeare's warrior king had paid a high price for such success.
Henry was given a hero's send-off here in Westminster Abbey. His favourite chargers from the battlefields of France were even brought up to the altar with the coffin. And that fits with our Shakespearean image of this king, the man who never quite lost that boyhood dream of becoming a knight in shining armour. But for Henry, the victory at Agincourt had been his seal of divine approval. He could do no wrong. Any excess of cruelty or violence, it was all for the sake of a God-given victory.